Hello and thanks for staying with us. Customs seized container of drugs at Seme border. Also on Customs report, Western Marine Command intercept kegs of petroleum products along the creek. Plus, the Controller General of Customs speaks to members of the National Assembly on happenings around the Nigerian Customs Service. I am Egeseme Edinye. Stay tuned. The Controller General of Nigerian Customs Service, throughout in 2021, has continued to preach to members of the National Assembly on how Nigerian Customs Service has been generating revenue for the country. He told them that Customs will surpass its revenue target in 2021. It was also revealed that Customs revenue target for 2021 was put at 1.6 trillion, but the service is hitting over 2.2 trillion in 2021. It speaks more on the revenue generation.
Despite the fact that the National Assembly has put in everything that is necessary to get us moving and collecting the targeted revenue. Mr. Chairman, let me start by saying, unlike my brother in the NNPC, the job of Customs is unpredictable. We rely on the market forces that drives the import of items into Nigeria. And as of today, Mr. Chairman, the bulk of our revenue comes from import. In most climes where the customs collect revenue, they rely mostly on excise. And that means the production within the country. Today in Nigeria, as you know very well, Mr. Chairman, the only excise we are authorized to collect is on tobacco and alcoholic beverages. All other industries that produces in Nigeria do not pay excise. And therefore, we narrowed ourselves to that unpredictable ground where we don't have any control as regards the influx of import. And therefore, we are therefore vulnerable to the fact that we can only act with what has been imported. And 2021, we are in fact grateful to God that in 2020, despite the COVID-19, we realized an upgrade with regards to the revenue. And as then, we were able to garner total collection of about 1.5 trillion. And as of today, Mr. Chairman, in the first 6 months of this year, 2021, we were able to make 1.02 trillion. So it then means that we are realizing steady growth in terms of total collection of our revenue. And it is our belief, Mr. Chairman, that if the trajectory continues at this level, then the chances are that we will be collecting at the end of the year an amount to about 2 trillion or 2 trillion plus. That is attributed to the fact that as COVID is subsiding, the market is opening, people are importing. But we do not, and I want to say this, looking far to the future, the issue of import should not be the basis of our revenue collection. We must encourage our own production within the country and therefore expand our excise base. Today we have sung this song several times, that we are supposed to be collecting excise on carbonated drinks. The policy of government is to reduce the consumption of items that are injurious to our health. And that is why alcoholic beverages are being taxed, and we are collecting excise. Tobacco, we are collecting. Today, Coca-Cola is produced in Nigeria and paying no excise. It's only in Nigeria that you find Coca-Cola products and they're not paying excise duty. All other carbonated drinks are also injurious to our health. So if we equally tax tobacco and alcoholic beverages, I see no reason why we should not tax the carbonated drinks.
The Accountant General of Customs has continued to speak on customs improvement to members of the National Assembly in Abuja.
The most non-compliant group of people, I must say this and say it with all sense of responsibility. If we measure in terms of compliance, our people are not ready to comply. And therefore, you find out that for every 10 containers that we examine, you hardly find 5, in most cases, that are fully in line with declaration. The rest are either underdeclared, in connivance between the importers, the freight forwarders, and of course our officers in some cases. So this is one of the fundamental reasons why smuggling still continues to strive. Along our borders, Mr. Chairman, distinguished members, we have put in place what we feel is adequate in terms of managing smuggling. We have a 3-layer enforcement. We have the area commands that are deployed in the borders. We have the federal operation units, and we have the strike force, which are always on standby for any credible information to strike. These have yielded adequate result, but certainly that has not curbed smuggling. And I must say here, Mr. Chairman, that for us to stop smuggling completely is probably unheard of. But we are working assiduously to reduce it to the barest minimum. And we need a lot of other input in terms of technology, in terms of manpower, and of course, most importantly, Mr. Chairman, is that I've said this in so many forums, and I will repeat it here, is that the non-cooperation of our border citizens is one of our biggest problems. And I don't blame them, because when you go to these border communities, Mr. Chairman, you find out that in most cases, there's no governance, there's no presence of government there. They don't have water. Some of them have to cross to the other countries to be able to get medical attention. And so when we contact them and begin to talk to them for cooperation, they looked at us with some strange face, because they don't understand why they should cooperate with us. And it's true, because we don't provide anything to them. We have border management committee, nothing is happening. We have made cases and complaints, nothing is happening. And these people, in most cases, are the ones that turn around to support smugglers to fight us. So in a nutshell, it must be, all hands must be on deck for us to be able to reduce smuggling at the border, which then means the communities living along our borders must be brought into this government. They must see the reason why they should support government agencies in fighting smuggling. Because in most cases, the smugglers have money, they give them job, because yes, they employ them to go and move rice or whatever it is across the border, and they pay them. That's the employment.
You are watching the program Customs Report. The operative of Seme-Border of Nigerian Customs Service has again intercepted a container of drugs worth 1.4 billion naira from importers operating along the nation's border. The customs area controller said that the seized drugs were concealed with 200 packages of jumbo-size adult tampons in 1x20 container. The seized drug is worth 1.4 billion naira. The container was handed over to customs by the Republic of Benin Customs under transit to Nigeria. The said container came under watch of the customs and men of the Nigerian Customs Service as no importer or representative came forward to continue the process of the clearance of the goods.
This container or consignment in the container. Though the container had always been on the watch list of Nigerian Customs Service through our intelligence, and since nobody came for it, we invited every other agency to come and witness the examination of this particular container.
The customs area controller said the container was subjected to 100% examination. The dampers were smartly arranged at the front of the container while the drugs was at the back.
I want to understand that some drugs were concealed. Pampers, 200 pairs of Pampers were used to conceal a drug that is suspected to be tramadol. But for now, we wait when we send it to NAFDAC for verification and other tests.
The command has initiated a full-scale investigation with a view to fish out those involved in this illicit importation, so that the legitimate trade will continue at the border. The federal operation in the Zone B has again seized goods from smugglers worth millions of naira. The customs controller said that the unit will continue to seize any consignment not approved by government, and anyone caught will be made to face the law. The federal operation in the Zone B, Kaduna, has seized a total of 20 trucks of foreign rice and 20 parcels of cannabis and tramadol tablets from smugglers. The controller made over 103 seizures from smugglers operating along the nation's borderline.
We also have 1,582 tablets of one product similar to tramadol. They call it D5. This one too is not a good medicine for it to get circulated, because it can affect the behaviors of whoever take it, thereby stimulating him or her to commit a crime. 185 kegs of premium motor spirit, PMS, which means fuel. 172 sacks of AGO diesel. On this item we intercepted in this truck is a combination of diesel oil and motor oil that we felt is adulterated. Adulteration means it can cause economic waste. It can cause to reduce the lifespan of your motor vehicle, because whoever use this type of adulterated motor oil in his vehicle, I don't think he's going to find it easy. We have 57 bundles of foreign used tires. We have 55 cases of foreign vegetable oil. We have 55 cartons of foreign Guinea milk creamer, 35 cartons of foreign condoms, 10 cartons of foreign matches, 5 cartons of foreign tea, and 1 carton of cigarettes.
He said that most of the seizures were intercepted along Jos and attributed the seizures to management policies on anti-smuggling in the country.
1,044 bags of 50 kg foreign parboiled rice. These rice, some of them were intercepted from Kebbi, Sokoto axis, some from Jigawa State, some from Katsina, some from Babana in Niger State. So it is a thing of joy that we are getting this product, and this was as a result of the capacity we increased. As I told you the other time, the CGC in his own wisdom gave us 13 operational vehicles. And at a later time, we received another 5. Now we have 18 brand new operational vehicles. And they were given to officers, and all the officers were being monitored to ensure these vehicles are used the way it's supposed to be used, and you can see it's giving us a lot of results. So all must work together. Information must come to us, because custom cannot be everywhere. We have the capacity to do it, but if you give us information, by God's grace, we'll be able to trace whoever is doing what anywhere, and we'll get him. The importation of second-hand clothing. As you all know, I keep on telling you here, if you check our nomenclature, the customs tariff, there was never a day the government contemplate removing second-hand clothing from obsolete prohibition list. It is absolutely prohibited from coming. Therefore, it is always in our mandate to ensure second-hand clothing does not circulate for so many reasons. I told you the other time, ranging from stoppage, the reduction of our local garment factories to be able to operate at full capacity. It will affect our health, because we don't know the condition at which.
He said that all effort will be made to stop smuggling of contraband items into the country. According to him, smugglers should leave Nigeria's economy to develop. He assured that he will never compromise national security and economic interests on the altar of trade by allowing dangerous drugs and goods to come into the country. He said that the federal government will continue to fight against drug smuggling in the country. The acting controller in charge of Western Marine Command in Lagos has intercepted 30 cans of petroleum for smugglers operating along the creek. He said that the kegs were about to be smuggled outside the country. A total of 865 kegs of 25 liters each of PMS was accepted from smugglers. The controller said that no arrest was made as the smugglers took to their heels upon sighting the patrol team.
By creating patrol and surveillance teams to complement the efforts of our existing teams, cut across the western waterways, thereby achieving seamless and efficient operations. The operatives of the command under my watch have recorded unprecedented seizures ranging from heroin, cannabis sativa, that's marijuana, rice, expired drugs, used shoes, premium motor spirits, PMS, and others, with 7 suspects arrested in connection with the seized hard drugs, which had been handed over to NDLEA for possible prosecution. On Wednesday 8, 2021, at about 5:00 hours, in our continuing onslaught against smuggling on the waterways, the officers stroke men of the coastal and then Harbour Beach patrol team, while on credible intelligence, intercepted large quantities of PMS in kegs at Ashikpa Beach along semi-coastal border area. Unfortunately, no arrest was made, as the smugglers took to their heels upon sighting the patrol team. The kegs were secured and evacuated to the base. Upon examination, it was found to contain 865 kegs of 25 liters each of PMS, giving a total of 21,625 liters.
According to him, smugglers are sabotaging the effort of the federal government for the gain at the expense of all Nigerians. He also said that during the year, 7 suspects arrested in connection with the seized drugs worth over 2 billion naira were handed over to NDLEA.
We have held series of meetings, but you know yourself, you know activities of smugglers. Everybody is doing his own, we are doing our own. But the smugglers, as you take this step, they take the next step. And as taking the next step, we are watching them. That's what we are doing. But we are constantly in contact with other stakeholders. That's not. Yeah, I speak. Our men and officers have been on training, rigorous training. The first batch have come out. The second batch are in now. And the headquarters is feeding us, telling us every day, what they are doing about it. And the moment those officers come out of training, because it's a routine, it's a daily training. You cannot train today and say you leave them this way. But continuous training. But the government of the headquarters is aware and they are on top of it. Yeah, the last time
He warned traffickers and smugglers to stay away from the nation's waterways, saying that anyone caught will face the law. It said 27 suspects were arrested in connection with 1,800 seizures made by FOU Zone A. It said that the units made a seizure of 14 trailers of rice in 3 weeks, 607 kilograms of cannabis, and kegs of PMS.
Increase in the rate of criminality in Nigeria. It is the responsibility of government to ensure that life of individuals is secured. Now, criminals would take this and they don't look at life as meaningful again. That accounts for why you see some of these small boys inside traffic. They will accost people and they will just have a shot at anybody, and this is part of what is making them hype. It is not only tramadol, but weeds. This cannabis sativa is an important ingredient that they use in all these criminal acts, because those are the instruments that will make them to look at nothing about life.
He explained that Section 147 gives the Nigerian Customs Service authority to enter any premises on suspicious of harboring contraband items without warrant, while Section 158 gives authority to patrol freely, and Section 46 confers authority to seize prohibited items.
Chief is informed by the support of the CGC, Colonel Hamid Ibrahim Ali retired, and the management of the Nigeria Customs Service, by way of providing logistics, uniforms and accoutrement, as well as commending officers when they do well. The unit just acknowledged the receipt of 5 additional Toyota Land Cruiser gun trucks to boost operations at the border shore line. Acting on the foregoing largesse by the CGC and the management, as regards the unit, failure cannot be in our agenda. Officers and men of the unit will continue to deploy the renewed energy for improved performance. Members of the press, beside the aforementioned motivational factors, officers are fully backed by relevant sections of SEMA.
He added that the seizure of 607 kilograms of drugs was made along Oshodi-Mushi Expressway without a suspect, while 114 kilograms was intercepted and seized along Ijebu-Ode Expressway with a suspect. He later handed over the seized cannabis to NDLEA officials in Lagos. Just before I round up this week's edition of the program, Customs Report, we brought you a report where a container of drugs worth 1.4 billion naira was intercepted at Seme border by the Nigerian Customs Service. For me, it is Seme Engineer. Thanks for watching.